Welcome to GPS, the series where we profile gamers, game makers from around the world. Today we're happy to be talking to musician, coffee addict, independent game developer, game enthusiast, creator of J.U.L.I.A from CBE Software, Jan Kavan. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
So the coolest thing about being able to talk to so many gamers, especially with the internet, is being able to talk to people from around the world. So you're all the way from where again? The Czech Republic, right?
I'm from Czech Republic, right?
Wow. Okay, so one of the things that we always like to talk about is different aspects of gaming, because a lot of times in the U.S. end up getting stuck into your own mindset of gaming. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe what it's like to play gaming, how gaming is out there as far as maybe differences? Like if you say you want to buy a game, like a game comes out, is it the same as just going down to your local store, purchasing a game? Is it more online oriented where you do more downloading, from places like Steam, or what would be the differences that you would say?
Yeah, actually, in our country it's quite interesting because we came to gaming much later than you all. That's because there was this kind of regime which didn't bring us computers. So even if we got this kind of coin slot machines, these arcades, you throw in coins and play for 2 minutes, and then you just, had to throw another coin. And it was not like a slot machine. It was like an arcade, really, like you play Pac-Man, for example, there. But there were no computers, and there were some kind of pretty unusable computers like IQ 151, which nobody knows about. It was a yellow computer with circular buttons. And if you touch the back of this computer, you would burn your hand because it was very hot, and that was it. So basically, I've seen like a first computer which was able to play. I was able to play games on it. It was a Commodore C64, and it was as late as in 1989 or 1990 or something like that. It was basically the era when computers appear here because it was possible to bring them in our country, and it was legal. Before it was illegal, it was just smuggled.
Oh man.
So it brings a bit different perspective that we've started discovering video games much later as a country or as a people, but and it was also very kind of Wild West period, because at that point nobody knew anything about anything like, for example, copyright laws. So there were companies and they were selling cassette tapes for Commodore, and they were filled with cracked games. You just go to the shop, bought this kind of cassette, and it was filled with cracked games because nobody had an idea what's the difference. They just pay for a game, and then they got like 100 games on the tape, or I don't know, 30 games on the tape, and that was it. So I'm putting this a bit into a perspective to speaking about the fact that also everything like computer-wise was extremely expensive here at the beginning. It's not nowadays, but at the beginning it was like, you would pay incredible money for example, 386 PC computer. It was money which you would today buy a really high-profile server for. So this kind of things were happening, and we basically were discovering games as a phenomenon after this revolution, which occurred in 1989. It was the point when we really started to think about the games and what the games are. And it was also the time when I started myself more seriously with gaming. It was with this C64 computer, which I really loved, and I learned to program it as well. And especially it was the game, and it was adventure game from that period, and it was Zak McKracken and Alien Mindbenders, which was basically the game which kind of opened my eyes. And it was the point I was 13 or something like that back then, and I was saying, yeah, I want to make a video game. I want to be a video game developer at that point when I played this game.
Now, as far as overall, would you say that people in the Czech Republic have a different overall type of games that would be their the games that they like overall? Like, is there a genre of games that are more prevalent, or is it still, like anywhere else where there's different people that like all types of games? Like in America,
Mm.
I guess you could say you have a lot of people that like FPS games, and then you have the second
I
tier,
see.
maybe RTS games. Like I noticed that like World of Tanks, you have a lot
Mm.
of people, since it, of course, in Russia, you have it's based, so you have a lot of Russian influence in that. Have you found that as far in the Czech Republic?
What I find here as probably the most problematic for me as a gamer is that people don't appreciate that much the independent scene. So basically, everybody is here, or the vocal majority or the vast majority of people here is very oriented into this AAA stuff. So basically, the blockbuster titles and when you have some kind of smaller games or games without the budget or games with very small budgets, people are not appreciating these that much, which for example that's why the most of my fans are abroad. They are not in our country because we are not producing like a AAA games, and we will never have a budget for such thing. So that's one, for example, difference. When, for example, in the United States, I found many communities which are really kind of focused on independent gaming, on smaller projects, which appreciate the maybe innovation there. And here it's just really, in my opinion, a handful of people. There is not like a real community, and if there is a community, it's basically more for those mobile devices like iOS, Android, and this kind of stuff. So that would be first thing which is kind of probably noteworthy here, that people would appreciate kind of more flashy, more kind of AAA games here, and that's the thing. We have a big, let's say, tradition in storytelling here. So basically, people here a lot talk a lot about stories in the games. So it's not more about the game mechanics, and people really appreciate stories. For example, even in the kind of big games we have here, like Mafia, you always had kind of story, which was being talked about. We have adventure game developers here, and so on and so on. So basically, stories and RPG games. So the story is something which is, I believe, here quite important for the players.
Now, do you have overall favorite classic game? I know that's hard with all the different games that there are, from AAA to independent games. But
Yeah.
maybe if you could drop it down to one, or maybe some people do top three. But do you have a classic game that you would say is your favorite? And if so, why? Which one would it be, and why?
Yeah, I have a, yeah, it would be very hard to make top three because I played really incredible amount of games in my life. But one game which really made a dent, like something which I would always remember, was the old Infocom text game called Mind Forever Voyaging, and that's a game which you know now here is this kind of comeback of such a games when you have, for example, Dear Esther, or if you have, for example, Vanishing of Ethan Carter. The thing that it's not focused on puzzles, but it's more focused on kind of the world around it. It's more focused about the narration. It's more focused on some kind of connections in this world, and this is something. This is a game which really opened my eyes in a way of how to do storytelling. So that would be one of the top three, definitely. If I just go, and we are talking about classic games, so let's make some kind of ceiling, for example, 2001. So let's just say that after that it's modern games. So maybe Anachronox, which is definitely one of my top games, the RPG game by Tom Hall. And that would be perfect take when Western culture take away the Japanese RPG principles and make a really great game out of it. And let's just take some random pick. I really appreciate Silent Hill 2, for example.
Ah,
This
yes.
this is the game I totally dig. So I could now go on, and then open my furniture here and show millions of boxes which I have here, including some really nice collector's edition. So yeah, basically I played a lot of games, but this was a hard question, and I'm doing my best.
So you're a collector as well. You like collecting the boxes and stuff. That's
I
cool.
did when I was younger. I did, and then with all the kids around, I ran into a problem that I need more storage space for clothes and for stuff. So I'm nowadays I'm buying everything digital.
Oh, cool. So can you tell me about CBE Software?
Yeah, CBE Software. We are two people, and it's me and it's Lukáš Medek, who is a visual artist. So he does all the visuals in our games. And I do the rest. So basically what I'm doing is that I'm doing programming, designing, writing, music, sound effects. So basically all the stuff which I can't do, of course, voiceovers. So what I'm doing is that I'm hiring people for that. And I'm also hiring people for text adaptation. I have a very long time cooperation with Laura McDonald, who makes my texts sound English, but basically I'm writing all my text in English, and she's doing the text adaptation, so just make it sound proper.
So what would you say, like the being such a small group? I mean, I know that the good thing is that you can work with people that you trust, but there must be a challenge being that small as well, right?
Yeah, it's a hard challenge because basically we operate on very small budgets. If you look, for example, at our last game, the J.U.L.I.A, it was done by a crowdfunding campaign, which was $8,000 for the whole production, for everything, and that's basically not not enough to pay normal studio for 1 month. So that's a big challenge to survive that, to kind of still pull through this, because it's when we were younger and we were able to do overnights and we just do it as a hobby, it was a different situation. But nowadays, when you just I have to employ Lukáš, I have to pay him monthly, so basically what I need to get money for him, and that's a big challenge. And of course, another challenge is that if you do the stuff in two people only, that they have only 24 hours. And when you develop a game, there is really incredible amount of things you have to do. And of course, when you are only two people, you have to sacrifice. You have to really decide what you can put it, what you can't put it, what you can afford, and what you can't afford. And then when you, for example, shop for a voiceover talents and ask some studios which does even borderline indie games, and then they tell you they want 20 or 12,000, for example, euros for voiceovers, which is more than we have budget for the whole game.
Right.
So in this aspect, it's of course then sad to see that, for example, the people who are reviewing the game and they don't understand much how the economy works, they would not kind of understand the fact that it's not the same with professional voiceover, but with J.U.L.I.A, we are really incredibly lucky because people understood the game, they understood what we wanted to do. So yeah, the challenge was basically worth it. That's my bottom line for that.
And for people who are new to J.U.L.I.A and for J.U.L.I.A Among the Stars, can you tell us about that?
Greetings, Rachel Manners. Please exit the cryo chamber and proceed immediately to the main deck. I'm activating Mobot's exploration mode.
Okay, let's leave this place. We need to narrow down the possibilities with these wires. You're saying they fired on sight?
We need to stay focused, Rachel. You're the last surviving member of the expedition, and you need to finish what you've started.
J.U.L.I.A Among the Stars is basically a reimagination of game J.U.L.I.A we released in 2000. In 2000, what was the year? 12. Yeah, we finished the game at 2011 and it was released in 2012. It was a sad story because we signed some exclusive contract with the publisher and it went very wrong. So we fought for the rights, then we got the rights back, and eventually we've decided, to just leave the game development by doing a small Kickstarter. It was not a Kickstarter, but it was crowdfunding at Indiegogo. And what we did is that we set just a very small target, like $5,000, which basically is going down to $2,000 when you put just all the deductions and fees and taxes. That you just end up with small money. And of course, you have to pay for the reward. So basically, that was it. And we say, yeah, let's fix the things which wouldn't work in the old game, and let's just do something more reasonable, like play concerts and stuff. But what happened is that the community just kind of rallied behind us, and they just gave us 3 times more money. And we say, okay, then maybe there is still some chance. And then we just, went crazy a bit and decided to totally redo the game, starting with full HD resolution with our engine, which we kind of customized. We just make a fork of an open source engine and put new stuff there. Make it a multi-platform for PC, Mac, Linux. Make it with a totally different gameplay principles. So the old game was more like a kind of choose your own adventure, like Snatcher or something, and the new one is basically more adventure game, still with puzzles, but it's more like exploration game with a lot of internal game mechanics which were not in the old game. So it's basically not just enhancing; it's just total reimagination of the old game.
No, that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is that with crowdfunding, that people get the idea that everyone's going to just automatically throw money at a game. What are a lot of the challenges that you've seen in getting the word out when you have a game, that you're trying to get people interested in? For people who, especially developers and people who want to use crowdfunding to perhaps get the word out on their game.
Nowadays, it's a very hard time for crowdfunding in general, and I believe the problem is that a lot of backers, including myself, are still waiting for our games, and there is a big kind of disappointment in this whole crowdfunding sphere because it's like there was a lot of promises around. Not all the promises were fulfilled. Even with the games which were revealed, they were not always, the something people would imagine. So if I would start crowdfunding tomorrow, if I would preparing, first of all, I would have to have something really good to show, because people are no longer buying your dreams. It's it's with a lot of crowdfunding, you just got tons of enthusiastic emails about how the progress is working on, but there is nothing to show, or even the developers are silent, which is the worst variant, that they just don't communicate. So the preparation is today a key, and it's not only about the good pitch video, but it's more about really showing something, showing some gameplay mechanics which would draw me in, showing not saying how I love games and how I'm passionate, but showing exactly what I'm going to do. So it turns from the basically buying your dreams, which was the kind of the craze when the Kickstarter started, to more kind of more mature investment when people are looking in the game. And I'm really happy that I backed some projects, and I'm really happy with the results, and immediately you can see when they really meant it seriously, when they really invested into coming out and saying, yeah, this is really worth your time and money if you let us make this game.
So what's going to be next after J.U.L.I.A Among the Stars?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We've just released 2 days ago. It was a re-release of our game Vampires, which we did some time ago, and it was just a funny game for Halloween because we just out of the blue got greenlit, so we just make some improvements and release that. We are just now dealing with J.U.L.I.A localizations. I'm still doing some some minor fixes, because when people started to playing the game, I don't want just to forget it and just go elsewhere. So I'm just doing improvements where people just, for example, are a bit stuck, or they don't, or they find something which doesn't work that well. I'm fixing it all the time. And when this all is going on, it depends on if basically we will get some funds to do it, because I don't believe anymore in this kind of 100% crowdfunded games, and you can see that making games is really extremely expensive. And if there are some funding, we have a lot of projects stuck in our drawers which we wanted to do, and it's just a question of finding someone who would just sponsor that, or just some publisher, or maybe even some different way of crowdfunding than this dream crowdfunding, but as I call it now.
Well, I hope that everybody will check out these games. You people out there that's always talking about looking for good games and looking for something that's different. There are a lot of independent developers and publishers out there, just like Han, just like CBE Software, that's putting out good games. So go check it out. I don't want to hear complaining. We're bringing you, great developers out there just like him, just like them. So thank you, Han, for coming on GPS and talking with us.
Thank you so much. It was really amazing. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you guys soon with another episode very soon. Until next time, we'll catch you later.